What is up, everyone, and welcome back to The Sports Scoop. We are going over the Green Bay Packers today, and they have had an interesting offseason, to say the least. But in terms of this video, we're going to be going over key players as usual, key additions as usual. We're going to sneak a few losses into there because I think personally that there are a few notable losses. Then the NFL draft, and then record prediction. If you guys don't know us personally, I'm Dylan Shallon. This is Kian McDermott.
Everyone.
Yep. Come check out the Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe. Leave comments. DM me if you have any problems with my opinions at Dylan_Shallon. Without any further ado, let's get into it.
All right, guys, welcome in. Previewing the Packers. It is me and Dylan again. I said that for the Vikings when I said that for the Bears one, but Charlie and Serge will be back. They're both taking a break. Then I will be going on vacation. Dylan will be. So there will be other people that will be doing these previews. But if it's your first time here, you don't care that much.
Won't matter,
it's your first time seeing us. It won't matter. But let's get into the key player segment, how we start off each one, basically giving outlook for the key players and how they will affect this team. Number one, it has to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. Someone who, again, we don't know if he'll be a Green Bay player. Hopefully he is by the time that I edit and post this video, but we don't know if he will be. Again, Dylan, 41 yard away from 4,300 yards, 48 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, a 121.5 passer rating, 70% completion. I think his best season. Didn't get injured. He was fantastic. Most touchdowns he's ever thrown in his career. Dylan, what does he got to do? Does he have to? Is it simply just he has to stay on the team?
Well, that's obviously the first priority, is making sure he's on a team to start the NFL season, because that could be a problem. There aren't many teams who are willing to take him on at the moment with the limited cap space they have left, and the Packers are probably still the best fit for him as a quarterback because they have built that whole team around him. So I think his main thing is he has to stay on the team or get into any team. Then he has to make sure that he's still mobile enough to move out of the pocket, because in the growing league with the fastest edge rushers we've ever seen, he has to be able to escape. And I think he still has that in him, even though he's an older player. I think he still has that elusiveness, that mobility in him, just really subtle, but he knows what to do. He's very smart. So another little very small critique of him is he has to make sure age doesn't catch up with him mobility wise. But in terms of the Packers, if they keep on to Aaron Rodgers, they're automatic NFC contenders.
Yeah, so I would say the most key player, if he stays on the field, obviously for the Packers, MVP-like season. You saw them bring in Jordan Love, and then he just went off, and the Packers like, we were not really expecting that for a 37-year-old quarterback. He'll be turning 38 in the season, December 2nd. And it's just, again, stay on the field. And we're talking about this assuming he does. I don't think Rodgers will leave. I think it's, people are saying he will most likely be showing up to camp. So I'd say he has one more year at least in Green Bay. But look, he's getting up there in age at 38. I think if we think this guy's the most talented quarterback, I don't think age will affect him until he's 40. And even then, Brady has still not seemed to be affected by age. I mean, Rodgers, every single thing you need from quarterback, an arm, still a ginormous arm that can rival the best and even young quarterbacks like Mahomes, like a Josh Allen. Accuracy, obviously, his accuracy is projected and his ability as a quarterback is projected when he has a receiver like Devonta Adams that we will get to next. But he's just a fantastic quarterback, MVP caliber guy. Again, there's not many people who can throw almost 50 touchdowns in a season. Dylan, I'm sure we wish our quarterbacks could do that. Like, he's fantastic. So Aaron Rodgers, to me, again, stay on the field. Packers will be fine. Your contenders, I don't really think. We'll get into that with record prediction. I don't think that it'll change much in terms of how well they do, but you would much rather have Aaron Rodgers than not have him. And Dylan, we did post a video about Jordan Love, that clip from our live stream about how we think they'll be fine. So at the end of the day, if they lost Aaron Rodgers, we both think that they may not be the worst off. But Dylan, let's move on to, I think, the clear wide receiver one in the NFL, Devonta Adams. I was gonna say I forgot if you thought it was Hopkins, but the clear wide receiver one, Devonta Adams. What's that? I mean, how do you even put an outlook on a guy like him?
He's the best all-around wide receiver I have ever watched in the NFL. To put that into context, I've been watching since the very, very end of Megatron's prime. So like 2013 onwards. I haven't been.
Okay.
I'm 16 years old, so I haven't been watching any. I never watched Randy Moss like that. So for me, Devonta Adams is just great at everything he does. He's so well-rounded as a player. He's incredibly fast, incredibly athletic. He has some of the best hands in the league. He's the best route runner in the league. So right off of that, and then you combine his football IQ into there, his strength, his ability to break tackles. I'm just listing attributes. Like, that's what it sounds like, but that's just everything that he's excellent at. So with him, just get the ball in 5-yard radius of him, and he's getting there. And he's going to make a play.
We saw him healthy, and he was fantastic. 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. Look, there's not – and funny, we just did the Vikings one, and Thielen had 14, so it actually puts into perspective how productive Thielen was. Yeah. But, I mean – how can you, like, he's just impossible to guard. Fantastic route runner. His hands are just as good as any receiver in the NFL. I'd say Hopkins probably outduels him there in a little bit. That's because Hopkins' hands are the size of my leg. So that's not a weird, that's a random comparison because legs are long. That makes no sense, but we'll roll with it. But look, Devonta Adams still at only 28, fully in his prime. And we saw, as I said, we saw finally a healthy him and a healthy Packers offense, and they were insanely good. We saw, obviously, and again, you see MVP Rodgers when Devonta Adams is healthy. He wasn't healthy in 2019 and was, I think, the out-and-out clear wide receiver one last year. He scored a touchdown basically every game. He didn't get injured much, had 115 receptions. He's just that safe pair of hands he's the most safe pair of hands that every single NFL team wants. He is the best receiver in the NFL, I would say, by a good bit. But I mean, I guess I could understand the Hopkins argument. But again, 2021, we've said this so many times. Can you stay on the field? Can you continue what you're doing? Can you bring that momentum from the 2020 season with your quarterback back? We'll see. Dylan, let's move on to the last key player on offense. They re-signed him, Aaron Jones. Technically, we could put this in free agent signings, but he was already on the team.
So we're going to keep it here.
So we're going to keep him as a key player, and he is, Dylan. How does he affect this run game in 2021?
I believe that Aaron Jones is the 7th best running back in the National Football League. It's a lot of rankings from me if you guys have not noticed.
Yeah.
But I think other than the very clear and obvious top 6, which I'm just going to list off just in case you guys don't realize, CMC, Henry, Kamara, Cook, Chubb, Saquon. Those are the top 6, right? Mm-hmm. Then for me, it's Aaron Jones, Taylor, Zeke in that next area. But for me, Aaron Jones has been more productive. Well, Taylor's only a rookie, but he's been more productive than even Saquon and even Kamara in some seasons, because he's been really, really dominant in just getting those inside runs for 5-6 yard gains on first downs. And that just sets the tone for an offensive drive. So for me, Aaron Jones is just re-signing him. And I know a lot of people said it wouldn't make sense to re-sign him because of A.J. Dillon and the game he had against the Titans. But I think re-signing Aaron Jones is incredibly smart from the Packers because he's just that much of a game changer for me.
Yeah, and I think he probably wouldn't have been as productive anywhere else. Look, it's an offensive line that obviously is a bit downgraded with losing Corey Linsley. Bakhtiari will be back. So the offensive line's, probably mid-pack. But look, I mean, Aaron Jones is just, again, he's one of the most underrated receiving backs. He's fantastic at catching the ball. A combined 7 touchdowns in the past 3 years receiving, which I know doesn't sound great. That's probably how much Kamara would get in like 1 year. But again, he's the kind of guy you don't see that 3 down back who can catch the ball like he can. Coming out of UTEP as a 6th-round pick, you weren't expecting much, and I love to see that. Got 200. So last year, I believe he was injured a little bit. He was still very good, but had the most yards in his career with just over 1,100, but only 9 touchdowns rushing and 2 touchdowns receiving. While last year he had 16 touchdowns rushing. So Dylan, there's a huge difference between 9 and 16. So for me, it's, can you take that step up and get those 16 again with an offensive? Can you? Like we've seen Saquon do, like we've seen Henry do, can you get a ton of production without a great offensive line? That's what for me puts you into that top 5, because I think he could take Chubb out, because Chubb is a fantastic offensive line and gets the ball so much. But for me, Aaron Jones is just a productive guy, someone who's really good at receiving. We saw that in 2019, especially in 2020 against the Chiefs. I believe that was 2019 though. I believe the one where he had a receiving touchdown in 2019. I had him in fantasy. He was fantastic. Again, momentum. Stay healthy, stay on the field. You will have production as a Packers all down back.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Aaron Jones, if he stays healthy, if he keeps that number 1 role, because A.J. Dillon was excellent in the one game he played.
That's what I'm saying. It's one game, so I
don't think it'll be a problem, but there is something to be said about that. So keep your role, you'll be great. Moving on to the most key player on the defensive side, so we're going to say him first, is the best cornerback in the National Football League, and that is Jair Alexander. Last season, he held some great receivers and some average receivers like Corey Davis. I'm just going to put that out here. And he held Calvin Ridley to 0 yards. Let that sink in. One of the best receivers last season, he held to 0 yards. That is outstanding on its own. Now, he only allowed 5 receptions a game. Again, outstanding. He allowed, I think, 8 targets a game, so they didn't throw it to him anywhere near the amount that people thought, and he allowed 5 receptions. He allowed an average of 30 yards a game, guarding some of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. He is just the most locked-down corner in the National Football League right now. Interceptions is not his forte, and I don't think it will be, because it's not that important to him, because he doesn't let people get the ball. So for that reason, I think he's the best cornerback in the league. And now pairing up with Kevin King, who I know he had that terrible game against the Buccaneers.
Well, he's been pairing up with Kevin King.
Yeah. He had that terrible game against the Buccaneers, but it's time to put that past him. He's not the worst corner in the league. He had a really, really bad playoffs, but I think that duo is still a really top-class duo.
Yeah, and Dylan, we kind of contradict ourselves in breaking down Alexander and Ramsey, because I say that I don't think interceptions are as important, but Jair doesn't get many, so that's kind of why I knock him a little. And then you think interceptions are really important, but Jair doesn't get much, is what you knock him in. And I completely agree. For me, the best corner in the league is Jaylen Ramsey, although I love Jair Alexander, and I completely understand the argument. My whole thing has been, who do I not want my number 1 receiver to go against? And it's Jaylen Ramsey. But look, Jair Alexander is fantastic. He probably, I would say, in the NFL can stay the tightest to receivers, and he's fast. He can stay with guys downfield, stay with the guys intermediate. As you said, he's the number 1 corner on the Packers team, and they play good NFL teams. So he'll be playing Justin Jefferson twice a year, Adam Thielen twice a year, be playing Allen Robinson twice a year. And you did not hear about Jaylen Ramsey getting burned or getting outplayed by Darnell Mooney, whether that be true or not. You did not hear.
It was true.
You have to really look. Again, we're not talking about him, but Jair Alexander, to me, it's just, you don't hear about him getting burned. He's the classic. He does his job at such a high level that you don't question it, and you just give him the respect he deserves. In 2021, he's 24. He's not gonna have a dip in form. He's gonna be good for the next 6 years at least. He's fantastic. Really, really good guy. And you have to think, he's 5'11" or 5'10". Like, he's not the biggest guy and can still lock down some of the best guys in the NFL. I think he's fantastic. And again, I completely understand the having him as the best corner. I have Ramsey, but I think those two are, it's very who you think is better. And
that's going to be an argument for another time.
Yeah. But I wouldn't argue. Like, I can argue to a certain extent, but I still, if someone's like Jair Alexander is the best corner, I'd be like, yeah, like, all right. I mean,
yeah, if someone says to me that Jaylen Ramsey is the best corner and you have, I will blatantly disagree.
Yeah.
So,
but let's move on to the last.
Shallow.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last key player on defense, Kenny Clark, defensive tackle. I think one of the most underrated guys besides Grady Jarrett on the Falcons. He's just a run stuffer and someone who wasn't playing too much last year. Dylan, I mean, I think it's a short analysis in my opinion. Like, what do you think Kenny Clark needs to do for a defensive line that consistently has been average?
This is a defense of players that consistently do their jobs at a high level. That really just lies into Kenny Clark as one of the top run stoppers in the NFL, which we don't hear about. We hear about consistently about Fletcher Cox. We hear about consistently Michael Brockers, but we don't hear about Kenny Clark. And I think he is one of the top run stoppers in the league.
Yeah, there's not much. An underrated guy who I really, really like. And I think when he's You don't hear about him a lot when he's on the field because just like Jair Alexander, he does his job. When he's off the field, there's a hole that can't be filled when he's not on the field because he's just really, really talented. 62 tackles last year, was injured, or in 2019, 62 tackles, which is a lot. Like, he's one of the best, I'd say top 3, at least top 5 run stuffing defensive tackles. Really, really big. And again, I was about to say really big, and I just remember he's 6'3". Like, he's that. I'm not
big.
saying Aaron. No, for a defensive tackle.
For a defensive tackle, it's not that big, but in general,
No.
it's pretty big.
Kenny Clark, fantastic player. Again, plug and play player, even though it doesn't make sense he's not getting drafted, but someone who goes in and does his job. And I think someone who could do that at no matter the NFL team, and he'll be great for the Packers. But Dylan, let's move on to free agency. Oh, wait, they didn't do anything.
They had absolutely nothing, and I'm going to have another little monologue at the end of this one about that. So, there's nothing there. Let's just move on.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing there. There's no notable free agent signings, and again, that's why. Well, to be fair, the Packers never really do anything in free agency, so it's not a surprise. But we're gonna move straight. So we usually do free agent impact outlook, and we're not gonna do this. We're gonna move straight to the draft. Dylan, wasn't a great one. Was not a great draft. Talk about number 1, Eric Stokes. All I see is someone who's fast.
Look at this, though. I have been saying for the longest time that Eric Stokes is a quality corner who will be taken in the first round. I've been saying that since the start of my college football analysis. So, there we go. Just putting that out there.
We do not care.
Eric Stokes, I agree, though. Incredibly fast. Someone who can be a slot corner or an outside corner and do it effectively, and someone that they're looking to push Kevin King out of position this season. I don't think that's going to be how it goes, but that's the competition they're trying to make. Not much to say about him. Incredibly fast. Has a little bit of a problem covering bigger receivers and a little bit of a pass interference problem. But other than that, he's a pretty all-around he's a sound all-around quarterback.
4.25 is great. I mean, he's lightning fast. Again, when I did my analysis on him, I think Tyson Campbell was the better Georgia cornerback who actually ended up getting taken later. Again, Stokes to me isn't the biggest, kind of a skinny guy, and I am solely saying that as an analysis for football because I cannot talk about skinny very, very much. But look, I think he's really fast and someone who it's much different, Dylan. I think what we overrate a lot is you can run straight really fast, but it's about can you backpedal and then turn and run straight. Against a really fast receiver, because if he runs a 4.25, they're going to be playing the Chiefs and be like, Stokes, go guard Tyreek Hill. Although I know that's maybe unrealistic because he's a rookie, but it'll be hard. Like, I think to me, he looks like the classic guy who will struggle his rookie season. Again, Jair Alexander's the cornerback 1, so maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, again, they could form a fantastic duo of Kevin King, or fantastic trio of Kevin King plans out. I like Eric Stokes. I think it was a reach. I think you should have, again, we've been saying receiver, but Rodgers has had the production without that number 2 guy or number 2 quality guy. So I like Stokes. I like Stokes as a player. The pick for me was not the best, but let us know what you guys think in the comments. But Dylan, this is another one. I believe their 3rd round selection. Amari Rogers from Clemson, slot receiver, another fast guy. They went for a lot of speed here in the early rounds. Is there much impact of him? Like, what does he need to do if he even does anything?
I don't think we're going to see much of him this season, although we are going to see a great call by whoever's commentating the game of A-Rod to A-Rod at least once. But I think what we're going to see mostly out of him is, again, someone to stretch the defense. And I don't think we're going to see him as a slot receiver as much this year. I think we're going to see more Lazard in that role and him on the outside to kind of him, MVS, and Adams kind of just going deep and making dangerous plays. And I might be completely wrong. He has a very high upside. He could be very important to this Packers team. But from what I see out of him, I don't think we're going to see much of him this or next season. He'll be a third-year breakout.
All right. I really do like Amari Rogers coming out of Clemson. It sounds like he's small, and you're like, oh, he's definitely fast. We're in a 4.44, so not the fastest, but someone who I think probably, good hands. I think someone who probably has a bit of underrated speed. He may not have had the greatest 40. I still think he's very fast. It shows how much the Packers. Yeah, exactly. It shows how much the Packers don't really like receivers. He's the highest drafted receiver, and he was drafted in the 3rd round since Devonta Adams in 2014. I mean, Dylan, he had a 33-inch vertical jump, and I think he's five. Yes, he can't be more than 5'10". He's 5'9"
Yeah.
and like a half. Like, he's small. Again, what shoots out to me is when you look at his tape is a bit of a worse, not Elijah Moore. I don't like to compare rookies to rookies, but that in that class, like he's that slot guy. It was like the Tony, Elijah Moore, Amari Rogers was then below them. Like a gadget guy, I'm sure he could start up in the backfield. You can get him on sweeps. Someone who, again, just adds another dimension to the offense. That's why I love when teams like high running offense get that receiver who can get in the backfield and move around. Like, I love that the Washington got Curtis Samuel, because he can go in the backfield. And like, it just adds another, again, like I said, dimension to an offense. Yeah, I think Amari Rogers was a good selection. I think an underrated one. I think we'll see him. Yeah, again, we probably won't see him too much this year, but I think we'll see him a decent bit. And I think maybe year 2, year 3 is when we'll see the most of him, like getting, consistent snaps.
Yeah, for me, my NFL comparison to him is Adam Humphries, just someone who can really do a lot of stuff.
Golden Tate.
No.
All right, Dylan. The second video we've done in the morning, and we've gotten to the end part. Record predictions. Are you going to be harsh? I've been asking you every time we do record predictions. Are you going to be harsh this time? Can you even be harsh with the Packers?
Yes, you definitely can. And again, here I go.
Of course you can. You're Dylan.
I'm usually, honestly, pretty fair. I'd like to.
I'm
to say that at least.
Yeah.
All right. The last season, the Green Bay Packers were the best team in the NFC. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yes.
In the regular season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think they were the best team in the NFC, right? Over the course of the last 4 months, they have A, made Aaron Rodgers want to leave. B, the best center in the NFL leave.
Yeah.
C, not drafted a first-round weapon for Rodgers, and drafted a fast cornerback who has really very little else. The front office needs to fix this, or else the whole organization goes haywire. They made one free agent signing, and it was a long snapper.
That's the thumbnail.
I like that they brought back Aaron Jones, and I like that they brought back Kevin King. They drafted very poorly. They didn't change a thing about what wanted Rodgers to leave, and they made it even worse for him. I don't think they're going to be that good this season. And if they keep on to Rodgers, I think they go 11-6. If they don't, I think they go 9-8. So keeping on to Rodgers, I'm going to say 11-6.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just got to say 9. I'm assuming they're going to hold on to Rodgers. So this is solely saying, I guess we could do an updated record prediction if Rodgers somehow leaves, which I just think it's too late in the offseason for that to happen now. I like, you said 11-6?
Yep.
I'm going to go 12-5. I think they'll rival for the top spot again. Like the Bucs, they brought back everyone. They lost, obviously, Lindsey, which I think is a big blow. But I'm happy to see he went to a young quarterback, a promising quarterback in the Chargers, we'll get to the Chargers and talk about that. But again,
last teams we do, but yeah.
12-5 for me. But Dylan, respect to both you and me for we've gotten out these videos, and maybe not one of your last ones. You'll be able to record in Cape Cod, but we're this will probably be me and Dylan's last one where we are just pumping out videos. So we hope you guys did enjoy that. Do make sure to subscribe if you made it to the end. My saying is, if you lasted through 26 minutes of footage, you must have enjoyed. So do make sure to go down and subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell.
It's also possible that you forgot to turn it off. So
which that's at least you gave us some watch time.
Give us some watch time.
Yeah, it does as well. Live streams every single week. If you guys support the channel, the best thing you can do is just get in a live stream and talk to us, because not only that, it helps us to get monetized. First of all, the main point, regardless of any of the views, we just love talking football. It's such a fun time. So make sure to tune in as well. It gives us watch time. We're really trying to get monetized before the season starts. I believe we're at 3,200 hours. We need 800 left, and we've been gaining decently. So if you could watch a live stream, watch a video here and there, helps a lot. If not, you don't have to. All the support links are down below. Instagram, all that. Talk about in the beginning of the video. Kean McDermott, Dylan Shalom, Packers 2021. We'll see how they can do. But you heard our takes. We want to hear yours. Get in the comments down below. Without further ado, we'll see you next time.